Yo, let's see. Everything's set up. All right. Happy Saturday. Happy early Valentine's Day. We've been hitting y'all with a lot of content. I hope y'all appreciate it. Took a break from the book club this week. I was burnt out. This is going to be another short one. Just want to talk about a handful of stuff, but there's been this really weird, to me, insulting trend of people like coming out and taking this Gorilla Glue commentary and using it to say weirdest things about the weirdest, most insulting things about black women that I find really bizarre and cringe. I don't know where this stuff is coming from, but like it's not the move. I don't know why people think this is a good move, but let me show you. I'm sure some of you have seen this guy says he's a lawyer and said the following: "Hey, plenty of door. Hey, B Scott." Yeah, a lot of weird commentary. Like, look, if a black person wants to get her bag, to I'm not trying to shit on a black person trying to get their bag. Even if I think it's like a frivolous case or weird, if she wants to do it, I'm not going to be that black person that comes out. Well, actually, Gorilla Glue is not liable. I'll just be like, look, I don't agree with that, but I'm just not gonna f up your game. I'm just gonna be quiet. But I'm not gonna go as far as this dude did either, right? So basically, Gorilla Glue tweeted, "We are very sorry to hear about the unfortunate incident that Miss Brown experienced using our spray adhesive on her hair. We are glad to see her in her recent video that Miss Brown has received medical treatment from her local medical facility and wish her the best." And then they, you know, gave a disclaimer about what to use it for. It's used for craft, home, auto, or office projects. Personally, I don't believe that. I believe she really put the glue in her hair, but I believe it was staged. People think that when you say something is staged, that must mean you're saying that it's fake, that it didn't happen. I'm saying it did happen, but I'm saying that it was staged. I have various reasons for thinking so if you put different things together. But what I'll do instead of going through the whole thing, there's this guy on YouTube called Thon Lexi. Thon is the first name, and the last name is Lexy, and he breaks it down. And he made a pretty convincing case to me. But yeah, this is I'll put in the credits, but it's Thon. I'll put in the description down there, but it's Thon Lexi, and he made a good case. It wasn't like a hater ass case where he was. But basically, the way her hair looked when it was first done, and that was smooth and everything. The picture of her getting her hair cut off and fixed looked totally different. It didn't look the same at all. And what his theory and other people's theory was that she made the video and she like got her hair like really plastered, very stiff with product. And then it went viral. She started getting all these donations and stuff and media attention. And his theory, and I kind of agree with it, was that she realized, wait a minute, I have to actually do something now because people are making all this money. People are thinking I really got this done. I'm getting media attention. So then she actually had to follow through and put actual glue in her hair. And that's what you see in those pictures where she's getting the hair cut off and the doctor taken off because she was getting a ton of money. She got like something like 1 million followers on one platform. It was going out of control. So she was kind of back into a corner where she kind of did a fraud that she wasn't thinking would take off and get that much attention. And she kind of had to do it. And if you go to Thon Lexi's site, he makes a good case, that I believe that was done. But, not my business really. Whatever. I'm not going to. What people are trying to make this like a social justice case about black women, that this is something that uniquely affects black women, the inability to no, they shouldn't put glue in their hair. And I'm like, no, that ain't making black women look stupid. There's a lot of black women who know not to put. First off, how did the Gorilla Glue get in her house? Right? Somebody had to buy it. What aisle did they get the Gorilla Glue in? What aisle did they get it in? You know, it was in the hair care aisle. Somebody in her house had to buy that thing, right? Who bought it? Who brought it there? And what aisle? Like the idea that it's in her house, where her not knowing what it does, just doesn't make any sense. It's not in the beauty section. It's not even usually in the same place that you get beauty stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really add up about it. Yes, yeah. So yeah, so I think but this is what this guy said, and this is where I think he went too far. He goes, Gorilla Glue, hair is not skin. Because on the warning it says do not put on your skin. And this guy's trying to say, oh, skin is not hair. So if you didn't specifically say hair, that means that she still has a case. You have to explicitly, you know, say hair and not skin, as if people don't know that something that is corrosive to your hair is probably corrosive to your corrosive to your skin is probably corrosive to your hair as well. It says your product failed to adequately warn, knowing hair glue in fact exists and many black women use hair glue as hair adhesive, and for this your company is liable. You should have given her a sponsorship deal. Instead, you will be held accountable. So, I mean, just as very, even what he's asking for, he can't think beyond clout. Like, if you're going to make a real case for real liability, have her sue for something, outrageous. Have her sue for like hundreds of thousands or millions, but a sponsorship deal. And why exactly would she be sponsored? I don't know. It's silly. But yeah, this guy was going on Clubhouse and all over trying to, start rooms about why she deserves all this money and stuff. And each time he kept saying that this was specifically about black women, that black women, this targets them, black women are especially susceptible to this. And, this was a negligence that, specifically harmed black women, and that this company should have known that it was going to hurt black women and black women, etc. And a lot of black women were kind of going in on this, like, shut up, this is about common sense. Like, why are you making us look stupid to the rest of the world? And so if you look at the quote tweets here, someone's like, you have just called all black women so stupid they are unable to realize that Gorilla Glue is not for their hair. And people kept going on, but I don't even think she's even that stupid. The first woman who did it, I think it was staged. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people were kind of dunking on the guy and saying he was insulting to black women, but that's just one guy who's like a clout chasing lawyer. He's like one of those influencer types. He's always on some crazy influencer stuff. He's always on different sites trying to blow up, right? Whatever. But this is what kind of made it worse. One random influencer or ambulance chaser is fine. Influencers do dumb tweets all the time for clout or whatever, but this was too far for me. This was too far. LX, which is, I don't know what it stands for. I'm guessing it's one of those verticals. Like those verticals when a news site has like Gawker has, all these other subsites, and then the subsites have subsites. So like the root is one of verticals on Gawker, but LX seems to be I think it's like a black site for NBC, because I feel like everything. For some reason, every time I look at this thing, it seems to have like black things going on it. I'm not sure exactly what LX, or if it's minority in general. I don't know, but it's NBC LX. I can't find an about page to know what it's about. exactly. Like what makes it different than any other NBC site, but it's an NBC site. And NBC LX had this. The Gorilla Glue saga laid edges and the trauma of black beauty standards. From relaxers to braids and even weave sew-ins, pain is relatively common when it comes to styling black hair. And I'm like, what is it with trauma, and all this stuff? And it talks about how she said my hair's been like this for like a month now. I think it wasn't really like that for a month. She wouldn't spend a month like that. It was because as the weeks went by and it started blowing up, after a couple weeks, she had to put the glue in her hair and do something. That's why if you notice, they keep filming every step that happens after, like of the sister trying to take it out and do all this stuff, and it's because of that. They had to. Um, I'll show you what I mean. And the Thon Lexi video discusses this more in depth. But if you look, let me find an example. If you look here, right, I'm going to show a picture of what her hair looked like in the video. And glue doesn't dry this clear and this perfect, especially on the human body, right? So this is what I'm going to show you real quick, and we'll come back to this silly page. Hey, David Gonzalez, how's it going? In the meantime, check the bottom scroll thing to look at places to support the show. And like the comments, and like and comment too. That helps us in the algorithm. Definitely help us out with those things. So yeah, check her out. Check her out here. If you look at her here, see how smooth and clear that glue is. If you ever use any type of glue, Gorilla Glue or any hardware glues, it dries white and pasty and everything. It doesn't dry clear like that. You see how smooth and clear that is? And if you look at her video,
Hey y'all, for those of y'all that know my hair has been like this for about a month now. It's not by choice. No, it's
that,
not by choice.
look how smooth and clear and shiny that is.
When I do my hair, I like to, finish it off with a little got to be glue spray, just to keep it in place.
And first off, you see how calm she is too. She's relatively calm. Now look at it here. It's white, it's clumpy, but also the pattern changed. It's front to back now. Here it was swooping perfectly to the side. It goes perfectly horizontal. It goes from the right side to the left side of her head in a swoop. If this was glued like that, how would it now go front to back like that? That's not the same pattern. It's in a totally different pattern. And I'm going to show another thing. So you see in the direction that the hair was going, and I'm going to show a picture where they were pulling it out of the sister's hair. Well, the sister was helping her get it out of her hair, and I want to show something else, right? So this was on TMZ. People are impressed, but it wasn't me that did this. This was Thon Lexi, and other people did it. Like, so I do a lot of forensic detective work, but this one was not my. I was researching it, and when I was researching it, I found other people's research. So look at this hair here. That's a different pattern. See how it goes straight to the back, and you see how it's just one giant kind of mass. That's what glue should look like. And so, and you see that there's hair under it and everything. And this was like much later, and I think she kind of realized, wait, I've got to do something because I was expecting this much attention, and if I don't show this done. But yeah, this does not look like what was going on before. It's white, it's hard, it's not just thin clear layer. It's like, it looks like Ken doll hair. And yeah, if you look at it here. So yeah, I think she eventually did do it, but I think it was because she was kind of put in a position where she had to do it. That's my personal uh, theories, So yeah, it doesn't match. The two things don't match. And why would she wait that long? Why'd she sit in it with it if it was real, in her head for a month? Because that's it doesn't look the same at all. It doesn't look the same. The wave pattern's different. The texture is different. It just looks way different, and the original way looks super smooth. Yeah, see, a lot of y'all thought I was reaching with a tinfoil kufi, but no. But check out the Thon Lexi video, because I was skeptical and I was looking for someone else to, I was looking for the proof myself, but someone else put it together for me. So yeah, this here is not the same as was in the same pattern that was in the other videos and everything. But meanwhile, this thing is talking about when attorney turned physician Alana Nichols learned why hashtag Gorilla Glue was trending on social media. It evoked a sense of familiarity. I'm not about to call this girl stupid when my normal Sunday routine involved sitting in a kitchen doorway while my granny applied grease to my edges and then ran an iron comb through my hair after heating it on the stove. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? I don't understand. Like, or a group that deals with the pressures of racism, sexism, classism, and heterosexism. It says sexism and heterosexism, which is okay, weird. Beauty. What does heterosexism? What does heterosexism mean? Does it mean like black lesbians are being? Are they saying black lesbians are being discriminated against by heterosexuals? Because that's, what does that have to do with black women's hair? I don't even. Okay, beauty standards in the community are deeply rooted in oppression in the past and present. So are they saying the Gorilla Glue happened because of oppression? They goes, and this is what these articles always do. They just bring up the same stupid vignettes and anecdotes. Like, what does that have to do with anything? Everything is fuckability politics in the social justice world. They're basically, in the social justice influencers are like incels, but just woke washed incels. So what does it have to do with anything? Even in the online dating, the black community faces racial discrimination, and black women were rated quote unquote less attractive than women of other races in an OkCupid study from 2014. Okay, what does that have to do with Gorilla Glue in the hair or anything? Like, you just want to bring that up. That's part of, like, it's like how incels always want to bring up that nobody wants to have sex with them. It's really weird. Yeah, I don't think he's an immigration lawyer. He's supposed to be a sports and entertainment lawyer. Yeah, that's what he claims anyway. He's supposed to have a sports law firm. Ultimately, black women are forced to choose between protecting the texture of the God-given coils or straightening their hair to escape natural hair bias. The Michigan State and Duke University study concluded, and something they do is they like to put a lot of studies and stuff to make something sound official, but the studies has nothing to do with what they're talking about, So now they talk about, and let's just think, this is not a bad story to talk about. If you want to talk about how black women have been traditionally discriminated for their hair in the workplace, and European beauty standards causing women to go through a lot of pain and expense and all this stuff, I mean, this is a good topic to talk about. Like, I would want you to do it more respectfully than Chris Rock did it in Good Hair. I think Chris Rock did it very tactfully and was making fun of it, but it is a good thing to talk about. I think it's a great thing to talk about, especially having to get fired or for natural hair, or forced to cut it or anything, and how deeply rooted it is in white supremacy and Eurocentric standards. But to turn this into saying that all black women would do what the Gorilla Glue woman did, and it's not dumb and silly. Even if you want to defend the Gorilla Glue woman, you can do it without throwing like all black women under the bus. So the woman goes, "So what kind of runs through my mind is she ran out of her glue, right? Trying to imagine the events that led up to the sticky situation. She was like, okay, maybe I'm not going to leave my house with my hair looking like this. I got to use something." With her got to be glue gel bottle empty, there was little she could do. She planned to leave her home ready to face the stereotypes and discrimination she would already encounter because of the color of her skin. Like, what does the sentence even mean? What is facing stereotypes and discriminate? Are they saying, so they're saying she had to put the glue in her hair because if not, but when her hair is laid down flat like that with glue, that can just conforms to a different stereotype. The people who see that type of glue and whatever, just will view her with that type of, oh, that's a black woman's hair. Like, it's just I mean, yeah, so in Brown's mind, she had to do what she had to do. That just really got on my nerves. And I just hate that they always give. I feel like they always. I don't know if these white people who own the magazines or the editors feel like it's dumb, but they don't care because. I mean, I always use the example of the kid who brings home um the mess thing they did in art class, a really bad picture or a really bad ashtray, it's all lopsided, and the parent puts on display like, look at what my kid, or they put the goofy picture on the fridge and acts all proud, and they're proud because, hey, it's goofy, but my kid's 6, he's not going to do any better. This is good for a 6-year-old. The times I wonder if these articles are made with that in mind, where it's just like, hey, let's just, who cares? It's fine. Why does it matter? So yeah, I look at the people who wrote it. One of them is a black guy. One of them is a black guy. I'm not sure. Looking at him, I don't know if he's gay, but working in heterosexism makes me, think he might be. I don't know. Because that's just a weird thing to throw in there with the Gorilla Glue thing. Like, but the Twitter attached to his uh, name is gone, so I have no idea unless he changed. So I can't tell because I was very curious myself about that heterosexism. Because one thing these people try to do is they have their little. These people kind of have their little hobby horses, and then they try to work every single hobby horse they have into every article, whether it works or not. So I'm sure they want to work in black men or the white people, the black community in there somewhere as well, and just couldn't find a way to put it in there. But if they could, they would have put that in there too, I'm sure. Yeah, so I don't know. That was just annoying to me. I haven't been looking. Yeah, this whole meta story is a great example of how Twitter fucks up the discourse. Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, it annoyed me. But what do y'all think about the theory that that hair thing was staged? I mean, I'm all for her trying to get the bag, whatever. I mean, how many times have white people gotten enriched at the expense of black people for frivolous reasons, stole land, whatever? She wants to get over whatever, but don't try to paint it like it's a chronic problem in the black community to be unable to tell hair products from hardware products. That's the part that loses me. Um Here's another thing I want to talk about real quick. Have you noticed that white liberals really love lately stoking this gender war stuff? It's very weird. It's like a patronizing thing they do with the black people where they try to split the black people, but do it in a way that looks like they're complimenting black women, but it's a way to marginalize black men. And it feels very fake. And white liberals in general are doing this. Like, the politicians, the pundits, everything is like, black women have done it again. Black women voted overwhelmingly Democrat. And, Biden owes black women, or black women did this. And, I'm going to give an example. I saw this. This was on social media. This is on social media account, and what the social media account put up was this. It said, normalized teaching that black women pioneered American music, not black people, black women, right? And um, like these woke white women love doing this, right? Because when you look at the actual, it's something called She Shreds Media, right? So it's basically it's a nonprofit or some kind of group for female rockers or something. So shreds and guitar, She Shreds. And you look, this is the staff, and it's all like white women and a white man. This one looks racially ambiguous. I don't know, but yeah, nothing in there. None of the people on the site are. So it's like, if black women did all these things, why don't you hire any? It's so, this person tweeting here is like, the woke folks on staff here are gonna lecture all of us on the history of black music in North America, but they don't have a single black person on staff. And yeah, I don't know, like really, like they try to make like black women into the mules for all their causes and everything, but they don't really care about black people in general, women or men. So I thought it was funny. Black women pioneered American music, which is true. Black women did, along with black men. Black people did it, but they're very much trying to normalize the idea of um, not thinking of black people as a group that shares a history anymore. So that's pretty, yeah. This is crazy. Yeah. I found that really annoying. And one one last thing I wanted to point out that was getting on my nerves, and I wish people would stop doing this as well. A lot of people were overjoyed about this thing. Yeah, it's very common for white people, but white women in particular, and it's a low key divisive and you know unproductive tactic. But I've been seeing so many of those social justice types getting excited about this. Jodie Turner Smith as Queen Anne Boleyn. Words cannot express how excited I am to watch this interpretation. It's the same old Bridgerton stuff. She was playing a black queen. Any of the any of the actual existing African queens throughout history, like Queen Nzinga or any of those types, y'all wouldn't care. You're just happy to see it's all about black people taking over white faces and white spaces. That's all you care about. Like Anne Boleyn isn't like some kind of hero. I mean, Anne Boleyn basically she got a raw deal for sure, but I mean, I mean, basically, she got a pretty raw deal. She got beheaded. She got treated like trash. And she also, I mean, I used to really be into all that stuff. I used to read a lot about Henry VIII. I used to really be into that. Yeah, I mean, she was someone that gambled on power and whatever, and a chance to get this. She herself was kind of in a lot of ways like a schemer, and she played the game badly and lost and got beheaded and slandered, and no matter what, she didn't deserve what she got. It was overkill. But yeah, I mean, it's just really kind of annoying how nothing matters more to a lot of these people than the chance to be in white people's stories. And it's like trying to keep inviting yourselves to places where people don't want you. Like so much of these people's activism is trying to force themselves into places where they're not wanted. And so they even want to force themselves into white people's histories in places where they weren't, like the Bridgerton thing, which is the Hamilton thing, where it's an honor to get to play the slaveholders. But this was a crazy thing that the same person followed up with, because people were pointing out, how kind of dumb this is, and isn't this like a reverse blackwashing or whatever. Somebody was pointing out, the person was probably a racist, but they were trying to say, isn't this, and to give like a different example, and then the person who wrote the original post, but this is different, and you are just choosing to ignore that. Whitewashing is an erasure, marginalizing BIPOC representation. This Anne Boleyn series is simply one interpretation of a character who has had many adaptations played by many white actresses. First off, what is the difference between what you just said? You just restated the same. Like, what does that mean? How is someone could say the same thing? Like, hey, this whitewashing is just one interpretation of a character that has been played by many black actresses. But that's the first thing. Second thing is, Anne Boleyn isn't a character. And this is not an adaptation. An adaptation means you're adapting a piece of fiction, or maybe this is, but this is real life. She's not a character, she's a person. And I think something about that, right? I think a lot of these stands and Tumblr types, whatever, they kind of lose touch with reality. And to them, reality is fiction and fiction is reality, and it's all the same. So it's flattened to where everything is representation. But I thought that was very telling. I thought it was very insane. Yeah, this is a great scene. Yeah, in Lovecraft Country, being a white woman is more valuable than money to her, which is an insane thought. And they just want to be seen in white spaces at any cost. Yeah, so it's it'd be funny this scene in the sanitation. Anne Boleyn survives. Yeah, but I just thought this was an insane thing to write, that interpretation character. Like these people, but I mean these people are like that. They think like representation is real world political wins, and they think the real world is fantasy. It's I thought that was nuts. But I thought it was very, very telling about the kind of fracture, the kind of break in reality that a lot of people have in these spaces. I think Tumblr has really, and I think where that started with Tumblr and those things is from how it's been explained to me, or things I've witnessed myself. They say like a lot of the social justice stuff that started on Tumblr was people trying to use wokeness to get their favorite shipping across. Like shipping is when in fan communities, when you're rooting for certain pairings of characters, and they have whole ship communities and shipping scenes. Like Green Arrow, there was something called Felicity, where people want the main character Ollie and this other character, Felicity, to get together, and it was called the Felicity Shippers, and they were so rabid online that the show creators actually changed the show to match what they wanted. But Tumblr was full of shippers. And what's funny is like history is IP to them. Like Henry VIII is like the Avengers, or Harry Potter. Like everything is intellectual property to them. Like so history is not even real life to learn from. And I think Hamilton played a big role in that. Like history is just IP to them. It's just something else to be a stan of. It's just another thing to ship. So I'm sure though you start having historical epics where different people get together just because they want that. Like Bridgerton is like that. Like, hey, this fandom needs to be more diverse. This part of British history, let's make it happen. It's like, but one thing they used to do, right, on these shipping websites, they used to do this. They used to be like, yo, we don't. They used to be like, we need. I want the white male character or whatever to get, or the white, or I want the white character to get with the black character, or I want the black character to be the lead of the series, or whatever. And what they would do is, in the shipping arguments on Tumblr, they would use real social justice points and real history and identity politics to argue to give extra weight. So they'd be like, well, it's kind of similar to how the Gorilla Glue article was. See how the Gorilla Glue article was, instead of just saying, hey, this woman deserves the money or whatever, they have to give this whole fake woke history lesson and work in everything they could think of. Well, here's the OK Cupid study. Well, here's the origin of hair lie. Here's this and that. It's like woke washing. You just, so like they just wanted the black character to be the lead, or they wanted the black character to be the love interest of the hero, or they wanted something, and then they would say all this stuff like, hey, well, here's this OK Cupid study, and black people are very discriminated against, and this would be a great corrective to that. They would throw out all this stuff. That's kind of how a lot of the wokeness started on Tumblr. Then after a while, they just start talking about wokeness by itself. And then a lot of them became these online activists and stuff. But even the ones who veered into just all activism all the time, a lot of them got into it through fandom. That's why if you notice, a lot of these modern influencer activists who got to start on Tumblr are all very into being birds and being into nerdy stuff. But I think their social justice or activism starting that way, starting out with arguing fiction with stands, and then use social media, using real history of real social issues as a reason to justify their fandom trends. I think it led and accelerated them not being able to tell fiction and fantasy from activism and real life and history. They start kind of blending and overlapping because fiction becomes a lens through which to learn about real issues, and then real issues also become something to weaponize to get their personal fandom goals happening. So they kind of do it with everything. Like, for example, with representation matters and that stuff, they'll pretend that representation is important because we need representation, because if representation happens, black kids will see themselves on TV, and then when they see themselves on TV, real life racism is going to be reversed. White people will get less racist, and they put all these studies showing how white people get less racist when they see more black people on TV. And if all this stuff happens, then black people will get, the wealth gap will close as black people get more confident to, or the workplace will improve through representation, and then police brutality they'll bring up all types of real life and death black issues as their way to say why the Black Spider-Man should get a movie. But the only reason why they really want the representation is not as a means to a bigger end, but they just want it because they just want to see someone that looks like them in their media, and they hope one day to get a job at Marvel or to get a job in one of these movies. And they think, hey, the more representation that happens, my social aspirations are more likely to come true as well. So they just want more Black writers to happen, just so that it increases their chance of being a Black writer in the big leagues. They want more Black characters because they hope it's going to lead to them being able to maybe play that character one day in a movie. If there's a Black Spider-Man, then maybe one day I could play the Black Spider-Man, or at the very least, when you're hanging out with your white friends, you have to feel bad because all the characters that you guys like look like your friends and not you. So I don't know. Yeah, this is true. I don't think infotainment is good for kids either. You shouldn't have to be or want to be entertained all the time. That's very true. And Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman talks about that now we need everything to entertain us, even our education, and it doesn't lead to good education or good entertainment at the end of the day. Yeah. Something else I'm going to talk about too. That OK Cupid study. Stop having this low self-esteem that lets anything bad people tell you about yourself, you just swallow it. You know what I mean? Like, because that's kind of like how the incels think. The incels think, oh, if you look at those incel YouTubes and stuff, like anything that reinforces the worldview that, men below 5'10" are unfuckable, and if you don't have a perfect alpha face, you're a lost cause. They'll swallow that all up because they want to believe it. And I think a lot of times that kind of happens in the Black community. And I want people to use some common sense here and just think about something. The OK Cupid site is for white people. It's primarily for white people. Black people who are getting with each other are going to go to Black People Meet or Soul Singles or whatever those sites are. So to a certain degree, of course, on OK Cupid, Black people are going to do worse. If you go on like Soul Singles or something, maybe the white people will, because that was not a peer-reviewed, well-done study. Like, that's not a real study. The company OK Cupid just did it themselves. And part of the problem comes from this idea that white is default and normative, but it's not. Because, see, like, people think of OK Cupid as just a neutral dating site, but the Black dating site is otherized, or the Muslim dating site, like Muslim Matches, otherized, or whatever. But no, OK Cupid is just as much a racial site as Christian Matches, a religious site, or Black Matches, a racial site. It has its own culture and norms, and that's probably a place where people go to meet white people. And I would bet even a lot of the Black people who go to those sites primarily go to meet non-Black people. If you're going on like a 90% white site, as a Black person, you're probably either looking for, if Black people are your top preference, you're not going to go to that site. And so that is not a real study. Real studies take those types of sampling biases and whatever into account, and they try to work against them and account for them and think about all this stuff. There's just a bunch of yahoos doing their own promotion. It shouldn't even be called a real study, So I just think, like, every time I see people talk about a stupid OK Cupid study, and there's a lot of stuff that goes against it. Like, for example, this thing that Black women don't get married or whatever, but what they don't tell you is a follow-up stat that at a younger age there's a big marriage disparity, but by the time they hit 35, Black women catch up and marry at almost the same rate as anyone else, you know. And people don't double check all this stuff. They just kind of take everything that they say about them at face value. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you put a bunch of white people on like soul singles and then did a soul single studies, they would be like, hey, well, white people don't fare so well. Like the number one thing people like is black women, you know. So yeah, that was just my problem. I hate when I keep hearing that okay Cupid stuff. I mean, m- maybe there is some truth to it, maybe not, but don't go off that study to say it. You do a better study, and then if the study says the same thing and it compensates and makes up for all those sampling biases, then maybe I'll listen to you. But yeah, that just really annoys me. Yeah, these studies prey on but also then it's preying on insecurities of 20 something. It panders to like the racist beliefs of everybody. You know, like if that study came out to say that white women are the least desired, I think Cupid is going to base that. If they found it, they would run it again and again because they don't want white women to feel bad about themselves going on their site. It's just that it's okay to think bad about black people, so it's fine. You know, like, and sadly, a lot of us don't find it. Our first thing is like, see, nobody wants us. You know, so if anything, a lot of black people thanked OKQ because like, thanks for showing our plight. You know, thanks for showing how bad we have it. Now everybody knows that nobody wants us, which is the same as the incel thing, you know, where incels get happy anything that shows that their life is as bad as they claim it is. So yeah, I just really didn't like that. That okay Cupid. I'm so sick of that study being tossed out all the time. It doesn't mean anything. It's not a real study. It and stop citing it all the time. You know, racists love that study too. They love um talking about that study, you know, and throwing it in black people's face. And it's yeah. So yeah, it's yeah, it's really silly. I want to point out some other stuff about that study. I just especially if something comes from white people, we believe it like right away. Especially if it's white liberals, we're like, oh, you know, this is an NPR. They know what they're talking about, you know. But I mean, and all this other respectable, supposedly respectable people, like the Freakonomics team, uh, talked about it. All the um, Time magazine cites the study. Everything kind of cites the study, but again, black people who when they date online on average will go to something like Black Singles, Soul Singles, Elite Noir if they're looking for. I don't know what the things are now, but you know, but I think even a white person that is looking for a black person as a partner is open to it. Even the looking for black people, they probably don't go to OKCupid for that. You know, they probably have another way or another place to go to. Like I used to have a white friend that used to date black women. He would go to like black clubs, black events, and things like that. You know, or or one guy used a site called Interracial Match. That was an actual real site. Yeah, and the black men who don't want to date white women are on different sites too. Now there is no white dating service or white match because then that would be called white supremacist. Can you imagine like whitematch.com? Of course nothing's called that. Nothing's called uh caucasoid match, ivory match, ivory singles. They don't do that. Okay Cupid is ivory singles, you know. You can't do that. So yeah, just stop citing that study. That's just we got to stop just believing everything bad that people tell us about ourselves, because we deep down believe everything bad people tell us about that stuff. Anyone who makes real studies and does sampling stuff will see what I'm saying is true. And that's kind of what made it um crazy to me, is because there were like people, the Freakonomics guy and all these other educated people. And let me tell you, if that thing said, hey, if they did it the other way around and said, hey, we went on Soul Singles and blackmatch.com and we found white women are not very desired. Even white men on Soul Singles don't want white women. And the first thing they say is, well, of course not. Any white man that goes to Soul Singles is probably in there looking for black women. They would see it right away, because that doesn't seem right to say that white women aren't the most desired. But when people hear, oh, black women are the worst, or black people don't fare well, even black people are like, that sounds right. I'm a scientist, but I'm turning my brain off for this one because it conforms to my beliefs. Yeah, so that's all I want to say. I just want to talk about that real quick. They got on my nerves. All right, y'all. So that's it. Happy Valentine's Day to anyone on the East Coast right now. Farmers meat is the white supremacist. Yeah, they have to code it if it's gonna be, yeah. But anyway, guys, if you think what we do gives value, like, comment, share, subscribe, share this with people. Share the site with people. Let let's grow this. PayPal, champagnesharks@gmail.com, Venmo or Cash App at Champagne Sharks. Support the show and get a whole bunch of episodes. You don't just get double the episodes now. You get basically quadruple, because now you get the book club and the movie club episodes. So for $5 a month, you get 4 times the podcast content, and we go deeper than we go in the live stream. So everything in the live stream goes deep. We get into heavier topics and have really smart and funny guests. So check out patreon.com/champagne sharks. If you're already a member, sign up for the yearly. You know, and of course, hit the super chat if you're enjoying the stream. You know, um, for sure. Thanks, everybody. Everybody, be good, and we'll talk to y'all soon.